I could not recall what happened during the first month after my illness. I only knew that I sat in my mother's lap or curling to her dress as she went about her household duties. My hands felt every object and observed every motion, and in this way I learned to know many things. So I felt the need to some communication with others and began to make code signals. A shake of the head meant no, and a nod is a pull meant came and push go was it bread that I wanted. I I could imitate the acts of cutting the slices and buttering them. If I wanted my mother to make ice cream for dinner, I made the signs for working the freezer and shoved indicating called. My mother, moreover, succeeded in making me understood a good deal. I always knew when she wished me to bring her something, and I would run upstairs or anywhere else she indicated. Indeed, I owe to her loving wisdom all that was bright and good in my long night. I understood a good deal of what going on about me. At 5, I learned to fold and put away the clean clothes when they were brought in from the laundry, and I disassociated my own from the rest. I knew by the way of my mother and auntie just when they were going out. I invariably begged to go with them. I was always sent for when there was company and when the guest looked their leave. I waved my hand to them, I think, with a vague remembrance of meaning of the gesture. One day, some gentleman called on my mother, and I felt the shuttering of the front door and the other sounds that indicated their arrival. On a sudden thought, I ran upstairs before anyone could stop me to put my idea of the company dresses. Standing before the mirror, as I had seen others do, I anointed my head with oil and covered my face with thickly with powders. Then I pinned a veil over my head so that it covered my face and felt it fall down to my shoulders, and tied an embrace bustle around my small waist.
ഇത് നമ്പർ ഇങ്ങനെ എങ്ങനെ അതിൻ്റെ അകത്തുനിന്ന് പോണേ മോളെ?
ആരാ
ഉം.
ആരെയാ ആരുടെയാ
ഞാൻ നമ്മൾ വിളിച്ചില്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇത് തന്നെ പോവോ?
അച്ഛൻ ചിലപ്പോൾ ടൈപ്പ് ചെയ്ത് സ്പെല്ലിംഗ് എത്തുമായിരിക്കും.
ഓടി അടിച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ കിട്ടുമല്ലോ.
ആരുടെയാ
ദിലീപ്.
ഇതിനകത്തുണ്ടായിരുന്നല്ലോ.
മഡോണയും ഇല്ലല്ലോ. അപ്പോൾ അതെങ്ങനെ പോണേ?
വിളിക്കാറുന്ന പോകത്തൊന്നുമില്ല.
ബിജു കുമാരൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു നമ്പർ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു.
കുമാരവളടി പിന്നുണ്ട്.
പിന്നുമില്ല.
നമ്പർ അങ്ങനെ പോകത്തൊന്നുമില്ല തന്നെ.
നമ്മളെ
So that is tangled behind, almost meeting to them to my skirt. Thus attracted, I went down to help entering the company. I do not remember when I first realized that I was different from other people, but I knew it before my teacher came to me. I had noticed that my mother and my friends did not use signs as I did when they wanted anything done, but talked with their mouths. Sometimes I stood between two persons who were conversing and touched their lips. I could not understand and were vexed. I moved my lips and gest- gesticulated Anjali without result. This made me so angry at the time that I kicked and screamed until I was exhausted. I think I knew when I was naughty, for I knew that it hurt Ella my nerves to kick her name. And when my fit of temper was over, I had a feeling akin unto regret, but I could not remember any instance in which this feeling prevented me from replicating the naughtiness when I failed to get what I wanted. In those days, a little colored girl, Martha Washington, the child of our cook, the Bella, an old setter and a great hunter in her day, when my consist company, Martha Washington understood my signs, and I seldom had any difficulty in making her do just as I wished. I pleased me to domino over her, and she generally submitted to my tyranny rather than risk a hand to hand encounter. I was strong, active, indifferent to consciousness. I knew my own mind well enough and always had my own way, even if I had to fight tooth and nail for it. We spent a great deal of time in kitchen, cleaning, kindling, kneading duff balls, helping make ice cream, grinding coffee, pouring over the cake ball, and feeding the hens and hunkies that swayed about the kitchen steps. Many of them were so tame that they would eat from my hand and let me feel them. One bigger cobber snatched two tomato from me one day and ran away with it. Inspired perhaps by Master Gobert's success, we carried off to Woodbay a cake which the cook had just frosted and ate every bite of it. I was quite ill afterward, and I was wondered if retribution or overtook the turkey. The guinea fowl likes to hide her nest in out of the way places, and it was one of my greatest delights to hunt for the egg in long grass. I could not tell Martha Washington when I wanted to go egg hunting, but I could double my hand and put them on the ground, which meant something round in the grass, and Martha always understood. When we were fortunate enough to find a nest, I never allowed her to carry the egg home, making her understood by the empathetic signs that she might fall and break them. The shades where the corn was stored, the stable where the horses were kept, and the yard where the house were milked morning and evening were unfailing sources of interest to Martha and me. The milkers would let me keep my hands on the cows while they milked, and I often got well switched by the house of the curiosity. The making ready of Christmas was always a delight to me. Of course, I did not know what it was all about, but I enjoyed the pleasant odors that filled the houses, house and the tidbits that were given to Martha Washington and me to keep us quiet. We were sadly in the way, but that did not interfere with our pleasure. In the allowed us to grind the species, pick over the raisins, and lick the stirring spoons. I hang my stocking because the others did. I could not remember, however, that the ceremony interested me especially, nor did not the curiosity causes me to wake before daylight to took my gifts. Martha Washington had a great a love of mischief. As two the little children were seated on the veranda step on the hot July afternoon. I was black and ebony with a little Benchley of fuzzy hair filled with the sh- uh, stu- shoestring sticking out all over her head like cross screw. The other was white with the long garden grubs. One the child was 6 year old, the other 2 or 3 year old. The younger child was blind. That was I, and the other was Martha Washington. We were busy cutting out paper dolls, but we soon word of this amusement, and after cutting out the shoestring and clipping all the leaves of the honeysuckles that were within reach, I, tu- I turned my attention to Martha's corkscrew. She objected at the first, but finally submitted. Thinking that turn and turn about is very plain, she seized the scissors and cut off one of the cruel and would have cut them all off but for my mother's timely interference. Belle, our dog, my other companion, was old and lazy and liked to sleep by often fire rather than to run with me. I tried hard to teach her my signs language, but she was dull and inattentive. She sometimes started and word with the excitement. Then she became perfectly regret as a dog do when they pointed a bird. I did not then know why Billy acted in this way, but I knew she was not doing as I wished. They, this vexed me, and their lesson always ended in one-sided boxing matches. Belly would get up, scratch herself lazily, give one or two contemptuous stiff, go to the opposite side of the heath and lie down again, and I bored and disappointed went off in searching of Martha. Many incidents of those early years are fixed in my memory, isolated but clear and distinct, making these scenes of the silent, aimless, dayless life all the more one day I happened to spill water on the apron and I spread it out to dry before the fire, which was flickering on the sticking room. Heard the chaperone did not dry quickly enough to sweep me, so I drew nearer and threw it right over the hot ashes. The fire leaped into life. The flames encircled me so that in a moment my clothes were blazing. I made the different noise that brought Winnie, my old niece, to rescue. Throwing a blanket over me, she almost suffocated me, but she put out the fire. Expert for my hands and ears, I was not badly burned. About this time, I found the use of keys. One morning, I locked my mother up in the pantry, where she was obligated to remain 3 hours. As the servants were in detached part of the house, she kept pounding on the doors, while I sat outside on the porch steps and laughed with their glee as I felt the jar of the pounding. This most naughty bark of mine conveyed my the parents that I must be tough as soon as possible. After my teacher, Miss Sullivan, came to me, I sought an early opportunity to lock her in the room. I went upstairs with something which my mother made me understood I was to give to Mr. Sullivan, but no sooner had I given it to her than I slammed the door to lock it and hid the keys under the wardrobe in the hall. I could not endure to tell where the keys was. My father was obligated to get a ladder and take Miss Sullivan out through the window. Much to be delighted month after I proceeded the key. When I was about 5 years old, we moved from the little vine covered house to a large new one. The family consisted of my father and mother, two older half brothers, and afterward a little sister. Mildred, my earliest distinction, recollection of my father is making my way through great drift of newspaper to his slide and finding him alone, holding a sheet of paper before his face. I was greatly puzzled to know what he was doing. I imagined his actions, even wearing his spectacles, thinking they might help to solve the mystery, but I did not find out the secret for the several years. Then I learned what those papers were and that my father edited one of them. My father was most loving and intelligent, devoted to his home, seldom leaving us except in the hunting season. He was a great hunter, I have been told, and a celebrated shoot. Next to his family, he loved his dog and gun. His hospitality was great, almost to a fault, and he seldom came without bringing a guest. His special pride was a big carnivore. It was said he raised the finest watermelons and strawberries in the country, and to me brought in the first ripe grapes and the choicest berries. I remember his caressing touches as he led me from the tree to tree, when wine to wine, and eager delight in the whatever pleased me. He was famous storyteller. After I had acquired language, he used to spell clumsily into my hands his cleverest answered it, and nothing pleasured him more than to have me repeat them at an opportunity moment. I was in the north, enjoying the last beautiful days of the summer of 1896, when I heard the news of the father's death. He had a short illness. There had been a brief time to acquit suffering, then all over. This was a great sorrow, my first personal experience with the dead. How shall I write my mother? She is so near to me that it almost seems indelicate to speak her. For a long time I regarded my little sister as a intruder, I knew that I had ceased to be my mother's only darling, and I thought filled me with jealousy. She sat in my mother's lap continuously where I used to sleep, and I seemed to take up all her cares at the time. One day, something happened which seemed to me an adding incense of injury. At the time, I had much better, much abused doll with I often named Nancy. She was Alice, the helpless victim of my outburst of temper and of affection, so that she became much the worse of her fear. However, I had dolls which talked and cried and opened the shut their eyes. Yet I never loved one of them as I loved poor Nancy. She had a garden, and I often spend an hour or more rocking her. I graduated both doll and cattle with the most delicious care. But when I discovered my little sister sleeping peacefully in the corridor at the precipitation on the part of one whom asked it to tie of love bound me, I grew angry. I rushed upon the candle and overturned it, and the baby might have been killed had my mother not catched her as she fell. Thus, it is that when we walked in the valley of twofold solitude, we know the little of the tender affection that grown out the enduring words and the actions of companionship, but afterward when I was restored to my human heritage, melted and grown into each other's hearts, so that we were content to go hand in hand whatever caprice led us. Although she would not understand my finger language nor I her childish